What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Seabass with Vlogify here, and today we are back with another tutorial in Premiere Pro CC 2018. So today we're going to be looking at how to add motion blur to your clips if you weren't able to do so manually, like in camera during your shoot. It's a super easy technique, something super easy to apply, but you know, some people overlook it and overlook its usefulness, as it can add more energy and more like just action to your footage to give it that more excitement that'll keep people watching and, you know, just keep the views up. So without further ado, let's jump right on in. So first thing you're going to want to do is essentially just drag the footage you want down here in your project onto your timeline. I've already done that. I've got my two things. I kind of just shortened them as well beforehand just to save us some time here. These are just two clips that I had saved up on my hard drive from my trip to Nashville a couple months back. Yeah, so you're going to want to put those on your timeline, plain and simple, nice and easy. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go into up here to the effects, and I already have it done because, yeah, awesome. So what you're going to do up here in the effects is type in transform, as you see right here, and that will pop up here, the drop down menu, and it should be located under this distort tab section, which is within the video effects folder, and you'll have your transform right there. So what you're going to do, simply drag it over here and apply it to your clips. We're going to apply it to both here, just because, well, we're going to be using both. And from here, what you're going to go and do is click on this clip right here. That's going to be the first one we're editing. I'm going to scroll through a little bit. This was an old time lapse. I kind of, you know, the time lapses are always fun, but I kind of want to liven it up a bit. So right around, I'm going to say probably, let's go to 110. That looks good. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here under your effects controls, which is all these. You know, you got your motions, you got your opacity, your time remapping for your speed, where you can make it go slow then fast for some speed ramping, and then you got your transform right here, which is what you just dragged on your footage. So what you got now is all these different settings under transform. So what you're gonna do is pick the one you want to mess with. This one, I'm simply gonna mess with the scale. So what you're gonna do is click on this little stopwatch. What this does is toggle your keyframes. So you click it, applies a keyframe right there. I'm gonna move about, you don't want to go like, it depends on the speed of the zoom. This one's gonna be a quick zoom in, just to add like a emphasis on what it's zooming into. And if it doesn't zoom in exactly on what you're looking to emphasize, you can also mess with the position. You don't have to limit yourself to one of these aspects right here. So I'm gonna move it right, you know, yeah, 10 keyframes is good. So we'll add another one, and from here we're gonna zoom in right there. Actually, it's the max. Zooming in full blown, and it still keeps the emphasis on what I'm looking at, which is the Hard Rock Cafe sign. And yeah, so that's right there for your scale. Essentially, that's it to add a sort of animation to it. And right now, what it's gonna look like is this. Pretty boring. I know the clip is a little bit blurry. I have it on the 1/4 setting just so it runs smoother, because last time we had some lag problems. So yeah, once you have that, I'm just gonna back it up a little bit. You're gonna go down here to this box. If you expand this menu a tiny bit, you're able to see it. Use composition shutter angle and unclick. You want to unselect that. And from this point on, you're not really going to worry about your keyframes. And then underneath, you have shutter angle. This I usually always max out. You can make it your own preference. You know, I max it out just to get that max blur effect, but this all just really depends on how much emphasis you want, how noticeable the blur. If you want it to be like a slight blur, just to like show that like there's camera movement, and make it a little more realistic. If you maybe recorded it in the wrong frame rate or something of that sort, you do it a little lower. But usually what I use this for is to do transitions. Like I'll do the zoom in with transition, going between clips, and that usually you're usually going to use the max frame shutter angle, sorry about that. So raise that all the way to 360. So now what you got is now we'll raise that to half just so it looks a little better. Hopefully it doesn't lag. A little better. So what you could do, because I noticed it still doesn't look that great, we'll shorten that to about 5 keyframes instead. Not exact, but that way make it look a little faster. You know, see, that's not exactly as fast as I'd want to go, but we're gonna keep this nice and short. You get the concept. So for this next one, we'll go right around here, 4 seconds, and make sure it's clicked. Just another run through of this. This one I already have pre-zoomed just because I want it to be emphasized on the hard rock. And what we're gonna do here is mess with the positioning. And you know, 5. We'll go right to the end of the clip. That's a lot of keyframes, but you know, again, you get the point. We'll mess with it, and then with this one, move it over so it cuts off there, right around there, and do the exact same thing, 360. So now what that looks like, it's probably gonna be slower, but yeah, it's a lot slower. But that's essentially the gist of it. You know, with that the shutter angle, the composition shutter angle, just know that the higher the number, the more intense and apparent and noticeable the blur effect is going to be. And you know, at the end, and I'm gonna spruce this up a bit, but at the end you can get a result like this. So that's about it, folks. As you can see, motion blur adds a good amount of life to your footage, just brings it out more accents. It adds a quick twist to it. So you know, apply it to any boring footage that you feel may need it, but at the same time, use it sparingly. You don't want to be that person that continuously uses that zoom and whip transition, just all those different motion blur effects. You don't want to overuse those and get to a point where it's complete overkill, because you're just going to ruin the content of the video and the creative aspect of the video. There's not going to be any variation. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new. If you did, please subscribe, drop a like, and also make sure to drop a comment on something that you want to learn a little more about. I'd be happy to cover it here in Premiere Pro, maybe even in After Effects Pro if you have a question there. Again, still learning After Effects well. I don't know it to its fullest extent. I know a decent amount about it, but any way I could help, drop a comment below and I'd be happy to cover it here on this channel. Like I said, make sure to subscribe, and as always, #GetVlogified. Peace out, y'all.